Okay, so you are menopausal, you think you might be menopausal, or perhaps you've had a procedure that has created an environment where you don't know if you're menopausal yet or not. So let's go to the specific definitions of what menopause is. So it means you've been without a period for 1 full year, and typically your follicle stimulating hormone, or FSH, is above 30. That's how the brain communicates with the ovaries and says, let's make a baby. So it's kind of increasing over time because we are wired to reproduce. So if the body's not responding, we no longer get periods. That's one category of women. The other category is someone who might have had a hysterectomy or an ablation. This is a little more nuanced because in that category of women, we have two things going on. One is a surgical stop to the bleeding process, and that's one piece of the puzzle. That has certain responses in the body that send messages about receptors and use and all kinds of things. However, the brain is still very much in a cycling phase of life. And so the body and the brain and everything is kind of wired for this younger, more vibrant phase of life. So, what that means to me as a practitioner is when I'm working with someone who's surgically menopausal but might still be on the younger end, I'm going to be looking at numbers that are more optimal for a woman who's younger versus trying to get you to a menopausal state because that's not where your body is. And you still might not, get all the benefits if we're not high enough on your dosing. So what we do for that is we look at your labs, we look at your history as to what led to that procedure to begin with, what imbalances might be there, and then we balance out, where your numbers are, what's optimal, and what your goals are, and we start therapy based on that information. For women who are in the more, you know, normal transition of menopause, meaning that biologically you have gotten to a point where you're no longer having periods. This is a wonky time of life for a lot of women because sometimes it's like you're almost at that 12-month mark and then all of a sudden you have a big heavy period and do you start back over? The reality is if you're at that phase, you're pretty close and your body is probably showing us that it's in a menopausal phase, even if you haven't fully met that criteria. But what that means is we're looking at numbers and dosing and scheduling really based more on a menopausal process than someone who's still having periods. So, how do we figure out what you need and what's best? We have a lot of really good data now on some of the preventative and beneficial aspects of hormone therapy. Things like cardiovascular health. If you start early enough, you get prevention and benefit for preventing negative cardiovascular outcomes like high cholesterol, heart attacks, strokes, that kind of thing. You have to start within the first, 4 to 5 years of menopause to receive these benefits. It does not mean that you don't get benefit if you're outside that window, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But basically what we look at is where are your numbers for testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, what do we see as optimal, and where do you fall in that lineup? And then based on your goals and your needs and your health history, we decide what blend looks good for you. So likely we're going to do testosterone, progesterone, estrogen. Testosterone and estrogen typically go together. We do that as a topical cream or in a once a week injectable. That's typically how we do that. And then for progesterone, pretty straightforward. Most women use a capsule at night, but you can use a dissolvable troche if you have any kind of metabolic stuff going on. So then we can kind of figure out, where are you if you have an IUD and you're not sure if you're menopausal. If you've had a hysterectomy, we look at that follicle stimulating hormone to give us guidance on where that falls. Typically, women will start feeling better pretty quickly. So if you have hot flashes, night sweats, vaginal dryness, heart palpitations, ringing in your ears, irritability, fatigue, brain fog, low libido, body composition changes, you start to notice a difference in sleep, energy, mood probably pretty early on. Same with urinary function, better urinary control, more desire for sex or sexual function usually. However, downstream is when we start to see more of the benefits in the way of body composition because it takes a little time to build up and then to kind of show you this new baseline. So typically we're doing follow-up visits every 3 to 6 months at first to make sure that you are getting what you need and you're optimal. And if not, we adjust the dosing. We use labs, we use your symptom review, and we use follow-up visits to determine what the best path is for you. We also incorporate a lot of other things at North Star into your care. Functional medicine, basically, if you have digestive issues or any kind of nutrient or lifestyle imbalances, any genetic issues, most people have some kind of other process going on in their body that might amplify the hormone symptoms. So we address all that. It's all included in your care, and we're happy to help support you and figure out what your needs are and what the best plan of care is for you. So reach out. You can contact us through the link below, or you can call 207-618-7211. We look forward to working with you.